Okay, so when I was thinking about this, I've never actually recorded an introduction for this podcast. So, welcome to the Royalist King CJ podcast, where we talk about music of all kinds: pop, country, hip hop, trap, R&B, soul. Just overall, we're gonna take a deep dive into music, and just kind of see where we end up, and what conversations and what we can learn from the music that isn't so clear in the first listen. So, welcome to the Royalist King CJ Music Podcast, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, so I don't know if you were excited as I am, but Partynextdoor talks about PND4, which we will soon be getting. Which this will be great. And PND4 apparently we're getting it in 2023. Okay, and Partynextdoor has her old friends, only one, Resentment, and Am I Wrong? Which I don't know if I might be the only person hyped for a Partynextdoor Partynextdoor 4, and if I am, I'm sorry. But finally, I'm gonna make a joke here, and I apologize if this joke doesn't hit. But they finally let Partynextdoor out of the OVO camp, so Partynextdoor released a song. I love that Partynextdoor dropped a song, and it's called Resentment. This song. This song, the way that it dropped is phenomenal, right? Because I was wondering when Partynextdoor was going to drop another single for this album that I am hoping for before like December. I'm hoping that it comes out before December. However, I'm not sure. I'm not a person that makes decisions, especially when it comes to the OVO camp and Partynextdoor. So, let me give you a rundown. If you don't know who the Partynextdoor is, let me give you a quick rundown. Partynextdoor is a Canadian recording artist. He sings, he raps, he does mostly everything. Partynextdoor's two, maybe three, maybe we'll go 3 or 4 most famous songs is a song called Loyal, Curious, Her Way, Recognize, and Break from Toronto. Break from Toronto is 2013, Recognize is 2014, Her Way is 2014, and Loyal was off of his song that had Rihanna and Drake as features on his album in 2020. And so, it's time that he is considered to the OVO label. This is something that I am kind of... I'm kind of waiting. I've been kind of waiting for Partynextdoor to talk about like PND4. So Partynextdoor 4, I've been waiting. Anyway, that's enough of me going on a tangent about PND4 and how much I'm waiting for it. But we're gonna start with this first word from Partynextdoor, where he goes, "There you go, pop a party pack." Oh, this is the thing. If this is what I'm thinking, and this is my assumption of when he says pop a party pack, he's saying that PND4 is going to be a pack of party songs. And if that is the case, I'm liking this. He says they're still running from all your problems. Shawty turned into a running man because she don't want to face her problems. Oh, I added that last part. Oh, I added that she run away because she don't want to face her problems part. But he said she's a running man. This song is something that I enjoy. As soon as she see her face, as soon as she faces drama, you ain't got to keep bringing up the past. You ain't got to keep bringing up the past. You ain't got to keep bringing up the past. Where he's just kind of where they're probably having a conversation, and throughout the song they're having a conversation, and he says, "You did this, you 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 did this, and you did this," and he's just like, we can't keep bringing up the past because we have to work on ourselves in the future to improve ourselves. Which, let me grade it by saying I don't care. I think everyone in some form of their life will improve. It doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be intellectual. It doesn't have to be, spiritual or social. But at some point, people will do advance in their lives in ways that can be good and for the positive and for the negative. He says, "I won't keep standing for it. What goes through your mind? Staying out past 5," which I think he's referring to 5 a.m. when you're staying out past 5 and people are going clubbing or partying past 5 a.m. And you're going to get checked for it, because it's like at a certain time, if we're in the same house, and some people are like this, if if it's like 5 p.m. or 5 p.m., 5 a.m., and you're out too late, and we have like a set time, like, hey, if we don't hear from each other and blah, 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 and we're not communicating, which communication is key in relationships and marriages and situationships, communication is key, right? Even in a situation where it's complicated, communication is key. So if you don't communicate to me or communicate to our next door that, hey, I'm going to be out a little bit longer, then we're not going to understand this. And this chorus, and I love this chorus. Oh my God, I love this chorus. Because this chorus is, I won't keep standing for it. And it's just, it's funny. You don't even attempt to try to figure it out. And that's all I'm asking for is respect. But all it is resent now. Because it ain't that hard to get respect, and you don't show me respect. But you can't even attempt to try to figure yourself out. When you're in doubt, you always run away. You always run. Which I think is a great way to talk about the song. He says, he says, look at the domino effect. That just happens. You keep thinking about it, and I ain't even inspired. He says at a certain point, you keep going lower, and I'm not going to keep going low. If you keep going lower, I'm not going to go that low to get even with you. I'm just not going to do it. Like, what are we waiting for to be together? What are we waiting for? Like, at what point what are we waiting for in this relationship or situationship? What are we waiting for? What are we planning to be? Why am I waiting? Why am I waiting? What are we waiting for? I won't keep bringing them to pass. I won't keep trying to run back. At some point, we're gonna try to work something out. Because if we don't, I'm not gonna keep running. But you're setting off, and the domino effect is you keep doing something, and you keep bringing up the past, and you keep running away from it. And I'm not gonna keep running back to you because at some point I'm gonna leave because I don't feel like you value me. And to some extent, especially with events that have happened in the past 4 years, people have felt that way. It's almost like, I'm not going to keep trying in a relationship or a situationship where I don't feel like I'm wanted. And I wouldn't suggest that if you are in one of those relationships that you keep trying to make it work because you think at some point they're going to give you the respect and something that at some point they're going to respect you enough and give you that honesty to where you can be truly yourself and enjoy yourself, right? And so it's difficult for me to take a stance and go, well, maybe you just need to do this. Maybe this needs to happen, or maybe this. It's very hard because and to some people, respect is really all they want in a relationship. Is, hey, if you respect me enough and I respect you enough that we can do our own things and you treat me how you want to be treated. So, for example, if you would hate for me to go out at 5 a.m. and not, if you would hate for me to be out at 5 a.m. and not communicate to you that I'm staying out a little bit later, then communicate with me that you're going to be out a little bit later so that we can worry about it and we don't have to fight. Hey, you're out past 5 a.m. Okay, you said you were going to be out past 5 a.m. Cool. Thank you letting me know that. Because if you, and I'm stating this because he says 5, and it's only because, there are certain situations, and let me clarify by saying this. If you're out past midnight, there's a lot of things that can happen. I've gotten food at 3 o'clock in the morning. Look, you can get stuff that happens early in the early mornings, right? So let's not be naive and say that things like that don't happen after midnight where people are just trying to get with each other for a desire. Let's not like completely get rid of that. But at a certain point, there are certain things that people do that are midnight. I've known people that go to raves early in the morning. But there are situations where it doesn't have to be off of somebody's desire. It's just that they just want to have some fun, and it just happens to run over. For example, there was a concert that was supposed to end at 12, and somebody stayed out to 1. They got this situation sorted out. They were able to prove that that's what they were, and they were happy in that relationship. And so, but they did have a conversation where they were trying to figure out what's the best way to handle a situation in which the timing could be the issue, not necessarily when they did it, but How can I communicate to you? How can we create a better communication upon? And so for me, this right here, this song right here is 8 out of 10 for me, and it's only because it's trying to stress the message that you should always try to communicate with your partner, and to some extent, if you don't, you can't expect somebody to just read your mind. And this goes for men, women, non-binary. This goes for everybody. Truthfully, this goes for everybody. This doesn't really matter. But if you don't communicate and the person is worried for your safety, or they just worry about you in general, especially people that are overthinkers, a lot of things can go wrong, right? Like, so if you miss like a check-in, or if you, but this also goes to show you that respect can go a long way in a relationship. And I don't mean that in, hey, well, if she doesn't respect, I apologize in advance, I don't mean to make it this dark, but if somebody in a relationship is abusing another person by hitting them verbally, beating them, calling them worthless, unless that person's into it, I don't know, the world's diverse, but to really abuse somebody just because you think that that's the only way you can get respect from them is probably, it's 99, maybe 100% of the time not the way you should handle a situation in which you feel like you deserve respect. There are other ways to get respect. There are also ways in which, if you don't feel like that person's going to treat you with respect, there's ways to handle that. And some of those could be to leave that relationship until they can respect your boundaries. Another way to do that is to put up boundaries that you're like, hey, these are non-negotiable. Especially if you're staying out late, these are non-negotiable for me. You set those boundaries. Communication, they must, they try to respect them as much as they can. I'm not saying, because I've heard some crazy boundaries and some crazy standards. But if you set a reasonable amount of standards and they cannot respect your standards, I don't think that relationship or that marriage is gonna work. So it's very much a push and a pull, but a relation, any kind of relationship, or any kind of situationship, any kind of marriage should be partnership. But partnership sounds like a business. Any relationship should be based around doing like 50-50. The bare minimum is doing 50-50, where, hey, I might not like this, but I will do this because you enjoy it, or I don't want to do this at all. That's not my personal thing. However, you enjoy it, so I'm going to go to this event, or I'm going to do this because that makes you feel comfortable, just out of respect. Or the dishes a situation, where I might need somebody to do the dishes. Cool. Then, out of respect for me, you might see that I'm tired one day and might go, hey, I'm gonna do the dishes for you, right? So that's just another situation in which, communication is key. If you go, hey, I'm tired, could you do the dishes for me? That's extremely one way to handle that situation. However, not everyone can pick up like social cues, or even the smallest amount of like effects. So this is why it's always have open communication and set boundaries. You can always negotiate on your boundaries. Like if you have like two identical boundaries of, oh, I don't take out the trash, or I don't take out the trash. I don't know. I don't cook. Those are, I've heard those be negotiated a couple times, right? But there's ways to negotiate around certain things where you kind of have to do it. And so the whole thing is about communication and being like, hey, if you're not going to fully respect me in the way, or respect my boundaries, why should I stay? And the resentment from Partynextdoor is a song that I just enjoy, because it labels those boundaries. Hey, you don't have to respect me all the time, but hey, when we go to situations, can we show some kind of respect? You might not, family issues. Hey, you might not like my family and all due respects, but they're probably going to show you respect if we go around them, or we might not agree on a lot of things, but that respect is just shown. It's just, Hey, as long as you show me respect, it's all fine. But if you don't respect me, then it's gonna become resentment, and that's not a good thing. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This song's 8 out of 10 for me. However, I just want to know how you would rate this song. And do you think communication is key in a relationship?